Hello, welcome back to Blender Sushi LIVENODING. In this episode, I want to show you this geometry node setup. Basically, to create like a cat's playground. So this is like a slab of rectangle with a hole. It's really simple, right? But I just tried to find the most efficient way to do this using geometry nodes. When I started this, I was using Boolean, but this final solution doesn't have Boolean, and I have a bit of control over how many slab we want, how many wall, and the hole for the cats to goes inside. When I started, I was using this Boolean. Oops, let me reopen Blender. Let's see, cat with hole. Okay, this is how I started with. So it's just a simple cube, and I'm using mesh boolean, and I'm using cylinder to cut the cube. This is not the most efficient, but this is also kind of valid. And I'm duplicating these objects and then randomizing it using sphere. Okay, so it's weird, but this is also work. The second version, cutting hole, is actually this slab. This is also not too bad. Someone on Twitter told me to avoid the mesh boolean. Maybe you want to use this setup, you know, like having a curve rectangle, and then a circle, and then we can offset the circle, and then just join the geometry, and then maybe fill the hole somehow using curve to mesh. In this case, I'm just using this line to sweep over the curve, and then using mesh boolean, and then yeah, this result is actually something that I quite like. So we can actually use this, and to randomize the position of the circle, we could use random value, plug this into the X, and then the seed can goes outside. And I just realized this geometry nodes actually doesn't like this random value if we don't have instance. So this is kind of like a gotcha, which is really slightly weird, that it doesn't want to vectorize the random value that way. You need to have instance. So after that realizations, I came out with this final setup, slightly more complicated. So we need to dig inside this node group. So inside it we have a similar setup, but I'm using instance so we can randomize the value position of the circle. Yeah, by using instance and translating the instance, we can actually get a more interesting result like this. We can actually randomize the scale as well. So I started with a curve line, and I'm resembling the curve. I can actually have multiple circle, but in this case I just resample the curve into one, and then set the position with this value and instance on points. I think I could actually randomize this X value, but somehow I'm just using this translate instance. So I'm instancing the circle, so I can use the circle to cut into the quads, and then fill the curve. This one is also kind of slightly weird. I'm using solidify in the end and solidify and bevel, but on top of this madness with a rectangle and circle, I'm also I also have this curve line. This is to control the duplications instance of the rectangle and the circle. At the moment, we don't have all the possible variants. We actually only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We only have 5 different variants on this. I think there's something that I'm kind of missing, and so it's not like full, it's not full random. This is actually just an instance of variance, just a 5 different instances of the variance that I randomize using this seed value. Okay, so it's instance on top of another instance, but the variance is not 100% optimized. I think there's something that I'm missing here. I just, it's hard to understand maybe, but yeah. So I only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, each one with different seed, and then I just combine everything into geometry to instance. So I'm instancing 5 different variants of this rectangle and circle, and I just transform it 90 degrees, so it's more like the wall for the cats to go inside. And I'm using this glass material so we can render this out nicely. So that's basically the setup. It's see if you can find a better way to do this, and maybe instead of single circle you can have like multiple circles that kind of conforming on the face. I think that's kind of like a beginning of something that could be a little bit more complicated or complex. But this is, yeah, like I said, this is just a simple example, but hopefully you can understand what's going on and can learn from this example. So this setup is still yeah, not the best setup, but it's pretty good, it's pretty valid. And yeah, I'm still, like I said, I have this different circle, so only 5 different variants, but in a more optimized way. I wish that I could just plug this random value and have the vectorized value and plug this into a single node group, and this one can vectorize itself and generate all the random variations, not just 5 being picked from the instance. It should be slightly adjusted, I think. But I think this is pretty good, pretty complicated for now, and you can have a look at the blend examples and maybe make adjustment. Alright, so thanks again for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye.